On a stormy night, the wind howled outside the window of a small cottage located in the remote town of Brookshire. The occupant of the house, a young woman named Emily, sat at her desk working on a project. Suddenly, she heard a scratching noise coming from the window. Thinking it was just the branches of the nearby trees, Emily tried to ignore it. But the sound grew louder and more persistent, causing her to feel uneasy. When she cautiously peeked through the window blinds, she saw a hooded figure lurking outside, staring at her with an eerie grin. Emily's heart began to race as she stumbled backwards and inadvertently tripped over a pile of books on the floor. Before she could stand up, the door to her cottage was flung open and the figure stepped inside. Emily screamed, but a hand quickly covered her mouth, preventing her from calling out for help. The figure dragged her outside into the pouring rain and into the woods surrounding the town. Emily tried to break free from the figure's grasp, but it was no use. They arrived at a small cabin deep in the woods, filled with a grotesque collection of torture devices and tools. The figure gestured towards a cage in the corner of the room, gesturing for Emily to enter. She knew she had no choice but to obey. The figure locked the cage, leaving Emily alone in the dark. Days turned into weeks, and Emily endured endless torture and torment at the hands of her captor. The hooded figure took pleasure in her anguish, taunting her with false promises of freedom. Emily's hope of ever escaping began to dwindle as she fell deeper into despair. One day, the figure became agitated and restless, pacing back and forth in front of her cage. Without warning, they suddenly vanished, leaving Emily alone in the cabin. She was too weak to make an escape attempt at first, but as time passed, she began to regain her strength. With all her might, she managed to pry open the cage and escape into the woods. Emily made a slow, painful journey back to the town of Westfield, where she sought medical attention and reported her ordeal to the authorities. While she knew that the scars of her captivity would never fully heal, she found solace in the fact that she had survived and could finally begin to rebuild her life.